When we picture Carnival, a very specific image comes to mind. It is a sun-drenched explosion of glitter, massive floats, and endless samba lines winding through the streets of Rio de Janeiro. That same energy echoes across the Caribbean. In Barbados, during the Crop-Over Festival, thousands of people take to the streets in bright, skin-bearing costumes to celebrate the end of the sugarcane harvest under a blazing sun. Curious, but that tropical monopoly is an illusion. Look at the St. Lawrence River in Canada, where teams are physically shoving canoes across a frozen, ice-choked waterway. This is the Quebec Winter Carnival. The party doesn't stop at sea level either. Travel to the Bolivian Andes, and you will find hundreds of thousands of people dancing in air so thin it would leave most of us gasping for breath. Cultures across every climate zone use these few days to go absolutely feral, creating a high-energy buffer before the strict restrictions of the religious fast take hold.
To understand why we celebrate this way, we have to look at ancient Rome. During festivals like Saturnalia and Lupercalia, social order was completely suspended. Slaves dined with their masters, and priests ran through the streets striking citizens with animal hides to ensure fertility. As the Catholic Church expanded, it couldn't convince people to abandon these deeply ingrained winter parties, so they pragmatically folded them into their own calendar, placing the celebration immediately before Lent, a 40-day period of fasting and penance. This chart shows how the name itself acts as a countdown. Carnival stems from the Latin terms carne, meaning meat, and vale, meaning farewell. It is a literal goodbye to meat and indulgence before the fasting begins. The Church realized that absorbing a popular movement was much more effective than trying to crush it. They pivoted their strategy to survive, which brings us to today's sponsor. Scalar Pivot helps modern businesses do exactly that, adapt to shifting markets. Instead of fighting consumer trends, their analytics platform shows you how to integrate them into your own growth model. Use the link in the description to try their tools for free. Whether you are an ancient empire or a modern startup, redirecting unstoppable momentum is always the smartest play. That unstoppable momentum is how we end up with 1 million people partying at -15 degrees Celsius at the Quebec Winter Carnival. The centerpiece is a towering palace constructed entirely from massive blocks of ice and snow. Surviving these temperatures requires specific cultural armor. Attendees wear the cinturón flechado, a traditional woven sash tied tightly around the waist to physically block freezing winds from reaching the spine. They also defend against hypothermia biologically. During the night parades, the crowd consumes caribou, a steaming mixture of red wine, liquor, and spices that keeps their internal temperatures up. This chart illustrates an entirely different kind of physical extreme. While Rio sits comfortably at sea level, the Carnival of Oruro in Bolivia takes place at 3,700 meters, well into the zone where oxygen levels drop significantly. Despite the thin air, roughly 28,000 dancers and 10,000 musicians perform a continuous 20-hour procession through the city to honor the Virgin of the Socavón. The centerpiece of this endurance test is the Diablada, or Dance of the Devils. Dancers wear heavy, elaborate horned devil masks, blending indigenous Uru traditions with Catholic theology to tell the story of good triumphing over evil. These harsh environments transform Carnival into a test of physical endurance, where the ritual itself adapts to the specific demands of the landscape. In Basel, Switzerland, the chaos of Carnival is governed by a surprisingly rigid set of rules. It starts with the Morgenstrike. At exactly 4 a.m. on the Monday after Ash Wednesday, every light in the city is simultaneously shut off, leaving the streets illuminated only by hundreds of hand-painted lanterns. To participate, you must obey strict behavioral mandates. The crowd must remain absolutely silent, sloppy drunkenness is highly frowned upon, and camera flashes are strictly prohibited. The entire event is funded by an official pin called the Blockade. Buying one subsidizes the Schnitzelbankler, specialized performers who roam from pub to pub, delivering highly structured, weaponized satirical poetry about the year's political events. High in the Colombian Andes, the city of Pasto manages its own set of messy, tactile traditions during the Carnival de Vale y Druncos. The main event requires attendees to smear each other with white cosmetic paint and spray foam. This acts as a sociological tool that physically coats the entire city in the same substance, temporarily erasing all ethnic and class divisions. The bizarre rules of these global carnivals are not designed to stop the fun, but to engineer a tightly controlled environment where total social inversion can safely occur. Once the foam washes down the drain and the ice palaces melt, we are left with the massive financial footprint of these events. This chart breaks down Rio's economic engine. By 2026, it will generate 10 billion reals, supporting 70,000 jobs. But ground-level data reveals a crippling cost. While cities collect billions, participating local populations are financially squeezed. Take an average Argentine family looking to travel for the holiday. Planning a basic 4-day carnival getaway now costs upwards of 1.2 million pesos, demanding roughly 75% of an entire monthly salary just to afford the hotel and travel. Even as a multi-billion-dollar industry, the core of the celebration remains the same, a persistent drive to put on a mask and briefly invert the world, whether that happens on a tropical beach or a frozen tundra.